Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Had Some Help, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. When Naruto got to training ground 44, he saw the woman sitting down and she said, "You had 3 minutes to spare," as she finished the last bite of a dango stick before throwing her skewer into a tree. Naruto said, "Who are you and why should I believe that you are supposed to teach me anything?" The woman smirked and said, "It doesn't matter to me if you believe me or not, kid. I am going to have some fun with you and test you like I said I would. If you pique my interest, then I will help train you, and if not, then at least I get to have some fun. The name's Anko." Naruto frowned and said, "So tell me what you want me to do," as she opened the gate and they walked in. Anko said, "I heard you can make a load of Kijbunshians, but your control sucks. I already set up my test and all you have to do is live. Now you see that bag hanging on the wall there?" Naruto nods and Anko said, "Inside that bag is an apple to keep your energy up and a needle with anti-venom in it. There is one of those bags every mile around this wall, but the anti-venom in each bag is different. What I want you to do is when I say go, you will create as many Kijbunshians as you can hear, who will then try to use chakra to stick to the trees and climb. Too much chakra and they will blow off, too little and they won't stick. Now while you run to the next bag, every time one of your Kijbunshin falls off the tree, I will K it and go to the next one and the next one and the next one until all of them here are S from failing or me getting bored, and then I will go to the next bag where you are to make as many as you can again and do the same thing over and over again. While I am doing that, you are to give yourself the anti-venom shots, because when I catch you I will have my snake summons attack you. If you don't get all of the anti-venoms I have around this training ground by sundown, then you will S. That's simple. Better make those clones or I might go ahead and summon a snake now," as she smirked. Naruto started to speak when she shot snakes out of her sleeve and screamed, "Move it." Naruto quickly made around 300 and took off running along the wall, and Anko saw the clones looking at each other and she ked 5 and twirled a kunai and she said, "I will K you for doing nothing also," as she threw a couple of senbons and ked some more before the clones started trying to learn tree walking. Naruto was running and thought, "Who is this crazy bee and who thought she should teach anyone?" as he saw the first bag come into view. He grabbed it and looked around when Anko appeared and she quickly shot snakes at him again and he thought, "S," as he created more clones and took off running again. Anko smirked and thought, "Ah, the wonders of clones. While my mud clone told him all the rules and got him started, I was able to eat another order of dango from another tree and then get to start my fun." As she turned to her snakes, she shot out and said, "Any clone who falls to the ground you can K," as she jumped into the trees following Naruto. By the time Anko had caught Naruto having used her snake summons to watch the Kijbunshin who were dropping 50 at a time, he had made it to the 7th bag and he started to make some Kijbunshin, but this time he only made 20, and before they could even move an exploding kunai destroyed them all and Anko landed by the panting Naruto and she said, "Well, let's see, you have been to 7 bags, so let's see." As 7 snakes shot out of her sleeve and attacked Naruto, who smirked as he went up in smoke, and Anko said, "S, I got tricked by a genin," as she took off into the trees after Naruto. She was growling and soon found the real Naruto at the halfway mark and she landed in front of him and punched him in the stomach, knocking the air out of him before she had her snakes bind him, and she said, "That was underhanded and dirty, kid," as she glared while releasing ki. Naruto held his stomach and she smirked and said, "I like it, kid. You pass my real test by making it this far, so I will help you train." Naruto said, "But I didn't take all of the antivenom." Anko said, "I know, and it's not really antivenom anyways. It was sugar water. The Hokage would have my ass for poisoning his favorite little SS Tane without accepting you as my student, and I got enough S to deal with anyways." Naruto asked, "So what now?" Anko said, "Wednesday, 6 a.m., meet me here at training ground 44. Tell those other dips that I will train you on this day and to leave you to me. Now get the hell out of here before I decide to feed you to my snake's SS Tane." Naruto said, "The name's Naruto." Anko threw a kunai that cut his cheek and she appeared behind him and licked the blood off his face and she said, Until you balls drop and you'll pop your cherry, your name is SS Tane to me. Naruto glared at her and said, screw you B. Anko pulled out a card and said, be there at 6 o'clock if you got the balls to try SS Tane, as she shushined away leaving the card on the ground. Naruto glared at the card he picked up and pocketed it before he turned and left. He was walking through the village when a hand appeared on his shoulder and he stopped and saw Yoshino standing there and she asked, how you doing kid? Naruto said, fine I guess, just had a crazy woman who has a fetish for snakes try to K me. Yoshino said, so you met Anko huh? What did she say? Naruto said, just that I am to meet her Wednesday at 6 a.m. for training and she told me to be at this address tonight to pop my cherry and drop my balls. Yoshino, who had started to walk with Naruto, stopped and blinked as Naruto kept walking and he noticed and turned to her and she said, let me see that address Naruto. Naruto handed her the card and she said, thanks, I just remembered something I need to do, so why don't you go have some fun until my idiot husband finds you, as she turned and left. Naruto smirked and thought, it might have been fun if you were around mom, if this is the way one acts when you talk about S and that is also payback for my cheek, you sadistic B. Do you have any idea how sensitive my whiskers are? As he walked down the street toward the ramen stand. When he got there he saw Ayami and he said, hey Ayami. Ayami said, there you are Naruto, I was worried about you, where have you been? Naruto sighed and said, around, I need advice from someone I trust and you're the only one I know I can trust. Ayami said, okay, what do you need to talk about? Naruto asked, can we talk in the back like we did when we were younger? Ayami said, sure, we're not busy right now so sure, as she put a closed sign on the counter and opened the side door for Naruto to walk in. Naruto asked, where's the old man at? Ayami said, he had to go to renegotiate our supply line and should be back in a couple of days, so what's up? As she sat down at a small table in the back. Naruto sighed and he took a bowl of ramen from Ayami and began to eat as he began telling her about Ino, his apartment, why he hadn't been around, Rose, his parents, his training, and he said, and now I don't know what to do anymore, it's all a nightmare. Ayami was quiet for several moments and said, that is a lot to take in, what are you going to do? Naruto said, that's just it, I don't know. Ayami closed her eyes and said, I think that the only thing you can do is listen to your sensei to get stronger so you can live long enough to figure it out. As for your problem with Ino, I think it's time for a compromise, Naruto. You lost everything because of her, yes, but she wasn't actually trying to go out of her way to hurt you. Shush has now lost almost as much as you did. You still have your memories of the good times and the things you lost can be replaced with new precious items. For her, what she lost may never be replaced. Shush has lost her friends and family trust. For someone like Ino, who has always been the princess, as she told you, that is worse than death. Naruto frowned and asked, so you think I should forgive her? Ayami said, no, I am saying you should give her a chance to earn your forgiveness. Naruto nods and said, thanks Ayami. I knew I could count on you. Ayami said, no problem, now go ahead and get out of here. I got work to do, but come by after dad gets back and I will give you another bowl of ramen on the house. Naruto smiles and leaves and Ayami thought, poor Naruto-kun, it's bad enough that he doesn't have a normal life because of Kyuubi, but now he has all this also. Naruto was walking through the village and thought, I guess the only thing I can do is listen to Ayami and get stronger, as he went toward Shikamaru house. When he got there he saw Shikaku and Chooser playing shogi and Naruto said, hello. Both men looked up and Shikaku asked, where were you at today Naruto? Naruto said, when I woke up Ino came by to talk to Miko and then after a little chat something personal came up that I had to take care of. Chooser asked, like what? As he threw Naruto a pear. Naruto caught it and took a bite and said, I started my period. As both men fell out of their chairs looking at Naruto shocked. Shikaku looked at him for several seconds and said, that is not something to every joke about Naruto, do you hear me? Never joke like that, it is way too troublesome. Naruto said, sorry, couldn't resist, but I rather not talk about it right now. I need to clear my head. Now whose idea was it to send that sadistic snake lady after me? Chooser said, so you already met Anko huh? How did it go? Naruto said, she said to tell you that she has me on Wednesday starting 6 a.m. on training ground 44. Chooser nods and said, that might work out best if we each took a day since none of us told you what to do yet for training. I can take Tuesday at 6 a.m. You can meet me at my house and we will go from there. Shikaku said, I agree, if we each take a day it can give you more one-on-one training. I know your other instructor will take Friday so Inoki can take you on Thursdays. Naruto said, alright, so what time do you want me here? Shikaku said, just make it 6 a.m. all the way around. Naruto bit his lip and said, right. Is there anything I can work on today though? Chooser said, chakra control, do the leaf exercise I taught you with your clones, but you need to work on physical training, so I will teach you one of my clan physical training exercises. 20 minutes later 200 clones were all working on the leaf exercise while Naruto was running away from a tree with a bungee cord connected to his waist as bees tried to sting him. Naruto screamed, how the hell does this help me physically? Chooser, who was still playing shogi, said, simple Naruto, you are working on endurance, stamina, speed, and agility while you try to keep from being stung by those bees. Have fun. Naruto screamed, all my damn teachers are fed in the brain. Yoshino, who walked up, said, watch your language Naruto, and Anko said she would make amends Wednesday for her actions today. Naruto thought, why do I get the feeling I am going to hate those amends? The next day when Naruto woke up he got ready for the day as Miko again and went to the flower shop and went inside seeing Inoki there, and Inoki said, Miko, how are you? Miko said, fine sir, what am I to do today? Inoki said, we got our weekly shipment of imports in last night and a genin team has already moved them to the backyard. Ino has already left and won't be back until noon. You are to change back into Naruto and stock the items in the appropriate places in the greenhouse and the storage shed. I want you to have it done before Ino returns and no clones. This is to increase your physical strength. Miko said, yes sir, I will get to it right away, as she went back upstairs and changed into Naruto and changed cloths. Naruto then went to the backyard and sweet dropped as he saw 5 wagons of different things and he thought, oh great, as he began with moving the fertilizer first. Around 11:30 Inoki walked into the backyard and saw Naruto was on the 5th wagon and he looked inside the storage and the greenhouse and said, good job Naruto, you got everything in the right place and it appears you should finish in time. Naruto said, oh man, I can't believe how hard that was, as he rubbed his shoulders. Inoki said, yeah, 20 and 50 pounds bags of fertilizer is great strength training, and then storing things correctly in the time period was good for strategy and speed. Naruto said, I never thought of it like that. I thought you were just giving me chores. Inoki said, yeah, genin hardly ever realize that those boring D rank missions actually serve a purpose as forms of training. Now I got you something Naruto, as he pulled out a scroll. Naruto opened the scroll and asked, what is it and what's these funny looking things? Inoki said, those are seals. Each one holds something different. To use them simply channel chakra into each seal and it will release the items. It's a set of weights for your arms, legs, and chest. Those usually can only be purchased by Junin because they are special and always weigh 5 pounds more than your muscles can handle. There is also a book on basic sealing, flowers, botany, and gardening. When you have finished them, store them in your bookshelf so you can read again if you need to. Let me know when each is finished and I will give you more advanced books to read also. Naruto nods and Inoki said, well, it's almost time for Ino to be here, so go change, and when you are Naruto I expect those weights to be on. I will finish putting the last few things up before she gets here. Naruto smiles and quickly left, and Inoki thought, not bad kid, as he finished the cart. When Miko came into the store Ino looked at her and smiled and said, hey Miko-chan. Miko said, hello Ino. How are you today? Ino said, fine, Dad informed me that you're only going to be working here on Thursday. Inoki said, yeah, Shush has already put the imports away. Ino said, really, you're something else Miko, that usually took me all day to do. Miko said, I try. Ino asked, so how is your roses going? Miko said, oh, I hadn't had a chance to do them yet since I have been busy. Ino said, well, how about I come up after work and help you get started? Give us a chance to talk some more. Miko looked at her and saw the pleading look on her face and said, sure, I would like that. Inoki smiled but quickly hid it and said, "That sounds great. Now Ino, why don't you help Miko continue learning the greenhouse while I take the shop?" Ino said, "Sure. Follow me Miko-chan," as she left. When Ino and Miko got to the back, Ino surprised Miko and quickly hugged her, and Miko was shocked and slowly put her hands around Ino's back, and Ino said, "Thank you Miko-chan," as she stepped back. Miko asked, "What do you mean Ino?" Ino said, "I have done a lot of thinking and soul searching since we talked yesterday, and I realize you're right. I have been manipulative and living in a dream world. After I talked to you, I decided to see how Naruto life was like." Miko turned and asked, "How did you do that Ino?" Ino said, "I used Henjin. I went all over the village hanged as him. I was kicked out of store, restaurants, and even the library and other places. It was a nightmare and Naruto had to deal with it all his life." Miko frowned and said, "And what else?" Ino said, "Well, after I did that, I thought a lot and I realized that the world Naruto lived in was the real world and not the fantasy world I was in. I decided that I am going to have to grow up now. If I don't, then I will be ked. I realized I spent too much time chasing Sasuke in the academy and not enough training. Besides Sakura, I am the weakest genin in my graduating class." Miko asked, "Sakura, what happened to forehead?" Ino said, "I am trying to change. I won't use that nickname for her any longer because shush is not worth the price it came with." Miko quirked a small smile as she looked around the greenhouse and said, "Sounds like you are really trying to change Ino." Ino said, "Yeah, I am. I want to change so maybe I can earn back a little of what I lost." Miko turned to her and asked, "And what would that be you wish to earn?" Ino flinched and said, "The respect of my friends, family, myself, and Naruto." Miko bit her lip and said, "And what do you have to do to earn your own respect Ino?" Ino closed her eyes and said, "Earn the respect of everyone I lost it from. Until then I won't be able to look at myself in the mirror without hate for myself." Miko sighed and said, "Well, if your actions are the same as your words, then you might do it someday. Now how about telling me more about these flowers before we both get fired for goofing off?" Ino smiled and said, "Yeah, don't want to get fired when I got a lot to pay for." After work, Ino and Miko went to Miko loft and Miko said, "You hungry?" Ino said, "A little." Miko went to the cabinets and the fridge and pulled out some vegetables and some fish and said, "Think you could help cut the fish while I work on cutting the vegetables?" Ino said, "Sure." As she washed her hands and pulled out a knife and Miko grabbed one and they both began to cut their respective items, and Ino saw the way Miko was cutting and said, "Strange, you cut like Chooser does." Miko looked at her and said, "Really, what makes you say that?" Ino said, "Chooser always cuts vegetables diagonally while most cut them straight. I don't mean to sound like that's a bad thing, it just was unusual seeing someone else cut like that." Miko said, "Yeah, I've cut like this as long as I can remember cutting vegetables." Ino asked, "So tell me about you, got a boyfriend or someone you like?" Miko said, "Nah, I prefer women." And Ino nearly cut her finger off as she looked up so quick it looked like whiplash. Ino stuttered, "You mean you're a..." Miko snickered and said, "You sound like Hinata Ino, and I guess you could say that." Ino said, "Well, I never would have guessed. I figured with a body like yours you could have any guy you wanted." Miko, who put her vegetables in some water, asked, "That's not a problem, is it?" Ino said, "No. Have you, Miko asked, "been with a woman?" Ino nodded and Miko smirked and said, "I guess you could say that." Ino bit her lip and asked, "What was it like?" Miko looked at her and saw Ino was beet red and said, "Curios Ino." Ino said, "No. I mean I don't know, I just never really thought about it, and since I never met anyone who was, I guess I am curious about what a woman would see in another woman instead of a guy." Miko said, "I guess you could say I've at least kissed a guy before, but I felt sick from it, but when I was with her it was amazing. I learned more about a woman's body, including my own, than I could have ever imagined possible." With a smirk, Ino looked at Miko with curiosity written on her face, and Miko said, "But enough of this. I'm famished and you're confused." As she stirred the veggies, Ino took out a pan and began and poured a little oil in it to stir fry the fish, and she said, "Oh no you don't, you started talking, now you got to tell me more." Miko asked, "What about you?" Ino blinked and asked, "What about me?" Miko asked, I mean I told you something personal about me, so what about you? Ino shrugged and said, you seem to know a lot about me already, but there's not much really to talk about. Miko said, really? I figured you would have practiced with Choji or Shikamaru or maybe Sakura. Ino said, EWW, I think I lost most of my appetite. Choji and Shikamaru are like brothers to me, and as for Sakura, we were friends once and now rivals, but that was before puberty and I never thought of her like that. Miko thought, oh, this is so much fun, seeing Ino embarrassed like this, and said, well, is there someone else then? What about Sasuke? You do the naughty yet? Ino eeped and screamed, no, that's, as she tried to say something. Miko burst out laughing and Ino glared and said, that's not funny. Miko said, for me it is, you should see your face, Ino. Ino said, you know what, I think you're lying. Miko stopped laughing and turned to Ino, and her voice changed a little from a kind, caring voice to that of a pissed-off person and said, oh really, you think I am lying, that I find guys disgusting and women attractive, as she stalked toward Ino, who had stepped away from the stove and backed up toward the counter. Ino thought, OS, me and my big mouth. I got to get her to calm down or find a way out, or I don't know what might happen, as she darted her eyes right and left. Miko got in front of Ino and put her hands on the counter on each side of Ino and said, you think I would joke about something like that, well do you, as she screamed the last part. Ino stuttered in a scared voice, no, I'm sorry. Miko said, good. As she said her lips to Ino, and Ino, who was wide-eyed a moment, tried to push Miko away but she couldn't, and Ino slowly closed her eyes as the kiss continued and her curiosity getting the better of her. Miko suddenly jumped back and thought, what the hell came over me, why did I do that? As she looked wide-eyed at Ino, who had her fingers touching her lips, and Ino said, I think I better go, as she moved past Miko, who looked down, and Ino left the loft. After Ino was gone, Miko groaned and shut the food off and walked toward the door and locked it before she released the jutsu, and Naruto thought, what the hell happened to me? I don't understand why I did that. I thought it was all fun and games teasing her, but when she called me a liar I felt like I lost control again, like I did on the Hokage monument. What is happening to me? As he held his hand on his head and sat down. Ino, when she got back into her house, walked to her bedroom and thought, what happened back there? That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.